Okay, today I have a question. Will I ever know your story? Or will my story suffice? It boggles my mind when I think how one-sided each story is when it comes to real life. I never heard your story, or did I imagine what you went through. I never took into consideration that you had a story too. I just heard what they said. The ones that look like me, the ones that share what they feel is the most important take on history. And I wonder if those claiming all these tragic things in time ever realize that those that are multicultural have a somewhat different take on cultural crimes. I mean, how do we relate to them killing you, which is the killing of me? How do we not understand that it was more than slaves that were taken? And while they weren't taking slaves, there were people that looked like me. I mean, Asians, they were stolen. Indians were slaves as well. While black people have cornered the market on travesty, they'd refuse to return to the motherland that today wouldn't treat us that well. So what do? Where do we begin? How do we combine our history so that the cultures could learn to blend? Do I tell you the best of me as you have done to the rest of us? How do we get back to that coined phrase, "In God we trust"? How do we begin where my truth does no harm to you? How do we learn to embrace the best and worst of each culture so that the strengthening of us is not the death of me nor you? Truly, there is no you or I. We don't, as a race, really fare apart no matter how we try. I mean, I don't know what to take. I don't want to take your movies. I don't want to take your books. I don't want to remove your history, but I want my history to have a different look. We just want to be included. Our side according to our own history. We need to be taught in school. We want our children to be free. Because knowledge is freedom, and freedom gives us an advantage we have never had before. We shouldn't have to research the outcome of a war when that war is still going on today. And we're in the middle, and we have very little to say because no one asked us how we felt about Thanksgiving ever or that day. Thanksgiving goes far beyond Columbus. It's the reverence, not the finding of the world. It's the blessings that came for many as my ancestors were there. Some were brought over on slave ships, and others owned others yet today. That's not my care. My care is it took each of them a culture to make me each a different description of world history, and it all needs to be kept in reach. That's my perspective. Closing the culture divide.